I platinumed the first Berserker Khazan, and this is how it went.
What is she? Bang! I'm not sure if we can go this way. Man.
The Platinum has a total of 58 trophies, and it can all be done in a single playthrough. The majority of these trophies are for beating bosses, completing side quests, and obtaining a few collectibles. There are a handful of trophies that pop at the end of the game that require us to focus on them from the beginning. That is, completing all the side quests, which then allows us to get the true ending after beating the final boss. Another trophy requires us to reach the end without summoning a Spirit of Advocacy, which are summons that help during boss fights. There are 2 trophies that rely on what difficulty you finish the game on, and if you complete the game on normal, you also get the one for completing the game on easy. With these prerequisites out the way, we can start the journey. I'll try to summarize the story as best I could because that shit is very confusing. Unfortunately, I did not clip 2 trophies, Remnants of a Soul and Desperate Escape. The game starts by showing a tortured Khazan, having both his arms severed due to him being labeled a traitor. Then we hear the voice of the Blade Phantom, who is trying to take control of Khazan's body.
At last, a physical form.
We then play through the tutorial area, which gives us our first trophy, Traces of a Stranger, for discovering our first mission item. Shortly after, we get another trophy by simply healing, which is something that we will definitely be doing a shit ton throughout the game. Following that, we unlock another trophy, Finishing Strike, for performing a sneak attack, and shortly after, another one for performing a falling attack. You upgrade your stats in this game by spending these red points called Lacrima, and we get a trophy for getting our first upgrade. This red crystal thing is one of the 3 collectibles that we have to get throughout the game, and it has 2 trophies attached to it, one for collecting them all and one for upgrading, which we will get later on. We then get to the first boss in the game. This Yeti is not very difficult and is a good first boss to get you comfortable with the mechanics of the game. After dying and collecting my Lacrima again, I get a trophy. He does have this grab attack that caught me by surprise, but it wasn't too much trouble. He also does this thing where he continues running and doesn't stop until his head hits the wall. I then proceeded to beat him on my 3rd try. Also, we can't get too comfortable with the amount of damage we are doing, as that is about to fall off astronomically. We are then saved by this lady who says that we are being possessed by a ghost, and that we need to reach the top of the mountain to overcome it. I then got a trophy for using a skill point on a skill that I won't learn how to use until way later on in the game. I quickly got another trophy for throwing and killing an enemy with a javelin.
Me bomba!
Next up, we get an introduction to the 2 other weapons in the game, which are the Greatsword and the Spear. I did not really enjoy using the Greatsword, so for this playthrough I stuck with the Spear. Unfortunately, I forgot to record this part, but you get a trophy for having equipped a piece of gear on every slot. After reaching the top of the mountain, we get to the second boss, which is the Blade Phantom. He has 2 phases and his moveset is very satisfying to parry. And after a few more attempts, I got the trophy for beating the Blade Phantom. After this, Khazan and the Blade Phantom become the best of buddies. The Blade Phantom becomes the Sonic to Khazan's Hedgehog. I did a side mission where you basically redo the Blade Phantom boss fight and it unlocks Phantom abilities, which are extra stat bonuses you can gain by just playing and leveling up a Phantom, and accompanying one of them grants you a trophy. We get another trophy for collecting a special scroll. Moving on, we meet the Spard who has a trophy attached to him, and basically you have to speak to him in 5 different locations to get the trophy.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Dafrona is the character we go to with the red crystals to upgrade either health recovery or the amount of Lacrima gained. And as mentioned previously, we got a trophy for our first upgrade. The next boss is arguably one of the hardest bosses purely because he appears early in the game. He has very fast attacks, which are varied, and he technically has 2 phases, with the next starting when he drops to 65% of his HP. After finally beating him, he fucking has another health bar? After more attempts at this boss, I finally was able to dunk on his ass and get the trophy for beating Viper. At this point, we learned that Khazan and Ozma, his old friend, meet a large dragon named Hismar. Their victory gets both warriors a lot of attention, which made the Emperor jealous, who ended up labeling Khazan a traitor. So Khazan sets his GPS to hunt down all who betrayed him, starting with Pavel. Later on, I picked up 2 trophies, one for buying and one for selling an item to the merchant. From there, we make our way to Frau village, and we summon something called the Spirit of Adversity, which gives us another trophy. We encounter the next boss, Volbeno, who was 1v1ing this girl Elamane. Of course we save her and start this dogshit boss. For some reason, this boss took me the longest out of any boss in the game. It took me almost 2 hours to beat him, and in hindsight, he wasn't even that hard. I was doing basically no damage to him. Every time I parried his attacks, I would get the burn status effect, and for the longest time, I didn't know that you had to climb the ladder for a second phase. Other than that, his boss music is amazing. After figuring out the ladder mechanic, I made short work of this guy and got the trophy Fallen Guardian. We then completed 2 side missions. One makes us fight the Spectre of the Dogship boss, and the next mission unlocks a second set of collectibles. These collectibles are the jars, and collecting one grants a trophy. There's a total of 44 jars throughout the game. We head to the cave, where we get to save the blacksmith from the boss. Early on, it felt like I do no damage to it, but it has a gimmick where you can break off its limbs to deal massive amounts of damage. I then proceeded to completely destroy this boss, just for him to regrow his arms, but it proved to not be troublesome. After unlocking the blacksmith, we get 3 trophies, one for crafting gear, one for dismantling gear, and one for crafting a special item. The GPS finally takes us to Pelimian, where Pavel is reported to be. Rankus, the boss of the area, eradicates Pavel and me. He has this annoying move where he pulls out a Glock with a switch. Although his moves aren't too crazy and can be easily blocked or parried, his stamina would regenerate very quickly, which was surprising given that he is built like Lizzo. Eventually, I was able to beat him and get his trophy. We learned that Pavel was actually a good guy, so Khazan shifts his focus to find the Night Veil gang in order to figure out who Khazan's betrayer is. This gang's #1 guy is Maluka, and this guy don't fuck around. His first phase was not hard, it was very easy to telegraph, but as soon as he lets chaos consume him, he becomes a problem. It took a while to get used to his second phase, learning his moves after every death, and even though it was difficult, it felt very satisfying to perfect parry his Virgil-esque slashes. Looking back at it now, this fight feels heavily inspired by DMC. Even Khazan gets a devil trigger. We get 2 trophies in this fight, one for beating Maluka and one for becoming best buds with the Phantom. We quickly complete a quest line that gives us a trophy at the end of the second mission. This lady back at the crevice gives us a quest to retrieve a cube, and after doing so, we can get 2 trophies. One for changing an attribute on a piece of gear, and the other for augmenting gear stats. Going back to the main story, we head to El Ravaka, because Elamane recalls that after visiting that place, Maluka started changing. Elamane gets sucked into a black hole of sorts, and Khazan makes his way to save her again. Soon after, we get to Elamane, but she is consumed by chaos. And of course that means we have to beat the shit out of her. This boss was a bit tedious because her shield randomly decides when it wants to negate my damage and when it's acceptable for me to damage her.
Hey!
Go.
Oh, that's it. Okay, so an ancient fucking shield distracts you now, yeah?
After slightly adjusting my build and going with a different strategy, I would make quick work of Elamane and get the trophy, no turning back. This also gets Elamane killed. Following that, we get to fight one of the more fun bosses in this game, Shaktuka. Unfortunately, I forgot to record the attempt that I was able to beat him in, but I can guarantee you, he was not easy. Yulian, the guy we saved from Shaktuka, informs us that Ozma faked his death and that he was conspiring with the Emperor, so Khazan shifts his focus to go find Ozma. Meanwhile, at the palace, Ozma drops a prime LeBron performance and wipes the floor with the Imperial Guard and the Emperor. Khazan heads to Aldevir, where we meet the next boss, Troka. The boss arena in this fight is very cool, and once you get her moves down, this fight becomes very rewarding. She also has a move where she flies around the arena and shoots projectiles towards you. In this run, even though I was on low HP, with 0 heals and a dream, I somehow was able to lock in. And eventually, I got the trophy for beating Troka. We arrive at the ruins of Rephalon to find a dark elf that has some information on Ozma. Following Troka's theme, we get another witch. Need I say more? This boss is very easy, and I think I beat her in my 3rd attempt, and she reveals that Ozma is trying to resurrect someone using chaos magic. The last type of collectible that we need are these letters that explain Ozma's story. There's a total of 15 that we have to collect, and they are important because, along with the side quests, they unlock the secret ending for a trophy. We realize that Ozma was basically targeting all of Khazan's allies and friends, so Khazan makes his way to Scalpo. But of course we get there too late, and what is arguably the coolest boss fight in this game ensues. Although his moveset is easily telegraphed, it is still very visually appealing, and his grab animation is just perfection.
I just hit the luckiest dodge ever for you. Bang! You fucked me.
I assumed that the fight was over after deleting his HP, and then this happened.
0.
I initially got suspicious because the trophy did not pop and there was no cutscene. The good thing is that the second phase keeps deleting his health bar over time, so being on low heals meant that I will take the easy way out and just run around until his health bar hits 0. Khazan then views Scalpel's memories and sees how Ozma tortured him. The Blade Phantom somehow just realized that Ozma has mastered chaos. Like, bro, we've been told that a long time ago. Anyways, Phantom and Khazan now share the same goal, beating Ozma, so this goated duo make their way to Revellion. The boss of this mission is Princess Elena. She did not pose too much trouble, and she had this move where she brings out an orchestra and orbs of purple magic attack you.
What the fuck?
Another neat detail in this boss fight is that most of her damaging spells are accompanied with piano notes. After a couple of attempts, I managed to beat her and get the trophy.
Fuck you, bitch! Easy!
At this stage of the platinum, we can go off and start completing side quests that give trophies. So we quickly completed the Order, the Hidden Laboratory, and Trial of the Sword, which had us fighting Captain America again. In Vitalon City, we get to meet the Bard for the last time, and after initiating a conversation with him, we get the Bard's Lamentations trophy. The next boss is Hismar, the Berserk Dragon. Apparently, Ozma used Chaos to defeat Hismar, but that would resurrect him somehow. He is by far the only boss I did not really find any fun fighting. Sure, he looks sick, but due to the fact that you deal barely any damage and can only hit him when his head is on the ground, this fight became more tedious than difficult. After a quick change of outfits, which allowed me to deal more stamina damage, I was able to beat him and get his trophy. I then completed 3 side quests, which gave me the trophies Tools of the Netherworld and Traces of 2. The 3rd side quest had me fight Boris, and after beating him, I got nothing. Apparently some of these trophies are buggy and require you to do the side quests in one go, meaning you can't turn off your device or quit out the game. So I redid the fight with the Maluka wannabe and was able to get Undying Loyalty. We then get to the penultimate boss of the game, Reese, Ozma's wife, and the music in this fight is just amazing.
That music is crazy.
Her first phase was very easy, and so was her second. I narrowly scraped the win, beating her in my 2nd attempt, hitting the most clutch play of 2025.
Sit the fuck down!
I then complete the last side quest, where I should get 2 trophies, but I get the same bug as before and only get Reese's Past. The only solution is to do all the side quests in one go, but I decided to reach the final boss before doing so. The last mission takes place in the Imperial Palace, where there is a very clear reference to Anor Londo from the Soul series. In the same area, we get our last Ozma letter, which grants the Ozma's Past trophy. Shortly after, we get our last jar and our last crystal. After reaching the final boss's gate, I decide to finish all the side missions in one go, but luckily the developers release an update for the game, so I quickly download it, and before I'm done loading in, I get the Countless Tales trophy. This means I only have 6 trophies left. 4 for completing the game, reaching the true ending and not using a single summon, 1 for starting New Game Plus, and the last being the Platinum itself. So I started the last boss of the game, Ozma, who was surprisingly challenging. He had me change my build a few times, but all that did not matter, as the only way to beat him was to get good. Every attempt I did, I got just a little bit better, eventually getting him to his second phase. Normally, after beating the second phase, you would be done, but since we are doing the true ending, it means that he has a third phase. Thankfully, his third health bar is the smallest out of the bunch, and performing brutal attacks deal a very big chunk of damage.
Bang!
Finally, on my second attempt at his third phase, I was able to beat him, and then got standing alone for completing the game without using a single summon. After interacting with the painting of Ozma, Reese, and Khazan, we get the first Berserker, Expert's Journey, and the Challenger's Journey. And finally, after starting a new journey, we get a new path and the Platinum Trophy. The game took me 48 hours to complete. I would give the first Berserker Khazan a rating of 8 out of 10 for having amazing boss fights and an incredible art style that is accompanied with a tremendous track. Where I think the game lacks is in its level design and sometimes in the storytelling. The level design attempts to mimic the Souls games but just falls short, and I genuinely was confused while playing the game. It could be that I'm a bit slow, but I actually thought Khazan lost after the final battle. I will also give the Platinum a difficulty of 6 out of 10. Although the fights are difficult, you can finish everything in one playthrough and there are basically no missable trophies except the true ending. If you stayed until the end, thank you so much. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content similar to this.